Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Good. That's Karl.
This is Emma. And this is Rittal unBoxed.
Karl.
Yes, Emma.
What have we got on the show today?
Well, we've got another special guest.
A very special guest.
Quite close to home, literally.
Yep.
It's Mr. Westwood.
Yep.
Which I never refer to him as. It's Christian Westwood, who covers our value chain. How is he related to people on the podcast?
He may or may not be my husband.
Right, okay.
Which is a little bit odd to say.
Is that how you identify in public?
This is my husband.
Yeah, or may not be my husband, yeah.
So that's a little bit odd. So yes, obviously we've worked together for quite some time, but yes, he's our value chain consultant. So it'd be interesting today to get him on the show, chat about all things value chain, his role in the business, because that's quite recently changed. But he's got some really important products, services, solutions, software that he's involved in, obviously that helps make our customers more efficient, automation. It's a really big topic at the minute.
It's really that cutting edge, isn't it, of where customers are going, where the future of the industries are to just make things faster and better, more reliable, all those sorts of things. So yeah, it's really interesting.
I think it's an area as well of the business that not everybody actually knows us for either. So I think it's really good to get that exposure as well, because it could be really prevalent to some customers. They're just not aware of what solutions there is out there, that's all. So actually be good to explore that topic today. So yes, that's
absolutely
going to be a good one.
Right, let's get into it.
Okay. So
Christian, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Let's get into it. Obviously, as we always start when we have a guest, what's your role at Rittal at the current time?
Right, okay, so my current role is value chain consultant, and that's helping customers throughout the value chain, as the name suggests, from engineering, procurement, manufacturing, and then operations, from a digitalisation and automation perspective, I'd say.
Yeah. So obviously you've got quite a history with Rittal. You've been here quite a while. So what's led you up to this position you're at now then? What was your first involvement in the company?
Well, how long have you been at Rittal?
I've been at Rittal for about 12 years, I think now. Okay. Probably come for 13 years this year, actually.
And like many people at Rittal, you've had various roles prior to that. So that would be good to hear what you've done.
So my first 5 or 6 years here were spent with Karl's role. So I was the product manager for cooling products, mainly on the industrial side. And that's then led me on to venturing more onto the sales side in terms of infrastructure roles, road, airports, marine, finally onto food and beverage. And then more recently, before value chain, was service manager, which I did for, I think, about 4 years, something like that. So they're the roads that have led me to here, but it's not necessarily, this is a completely different kind of role for me now. Ever since I started my professional career, then it's always to do with cooling and service and that type of thing. So looking at different types of products now, it's a bit of a step change, a bit of a step outside the comfort zone, but thoroughly enjoying it.
Well, the thing is, you've got an engineering background already.
Yep.
Obviously, which I think probably helps massively in your new role. You have a production understanding, from an engineering based businesses that you've worked at in the past. But again, I think, like with many people that's worked at Rittal before, having that selection of different roles as well, so to give you a good overview of the business generally, the processes involved, so it makes, I think, you're more of a rounded person as well, really, in terms of your experience. Then when you move into something like value chain, which incorporates pretty much every area of the business.
And I think not just our business, but other people's business, because both cooling and service, you've been boots on the ground in these places and seeing probably the little foibles that they've got and issues that they're experiencing. So the next step of what you're doing now is just trying to make people more efficient and smooth these out and, take them to the next level of efficiency and automation and whatnot. I think previous experience probably helped a little bit with that.
I think that's probably a common feature of the roles that I've had in terms of trying to help customers to become more efficient, whether it's through energy efficiencies it was in the past with cooling, or whether it's now through more efficient use of, human resources, or more efficient processes they have on their shop floors. The difference is it's a bit of a different customer base now. In the past, it's primarily been the end user of our equipment, rather than the people who are actually modifying and integrating equipment into the core products and then handing out to the end user in turn. So it's a bit of a different customer base, but it's solving a similar kind of problem for them, I think.
So you talk about value chain, and obviously that's looking at, like I said, from everything from making customers more efficient in terms of products and services that can be offered to make customers more efficient. So to tell us a little bit more about that in terms of the offerings from Rittal, a little bit more of the nitty-gritty about the value chain, really.
Yeah, as I say, it covers a whole range, the different areas we look at, but predominantly I think where we can help customers is with the Rittal automation products. That's with products for handling and assembly, right through machines that can modify enclosures, cut components, wire preparation, all the way through to wire terminals and even laser machines that are going to modify enclosures in a different way. So that, I think, is the main element where we can help customers with their manufacturing. When it comes to procurement, then potentially we can offer modified solutions for core products. So customers who want to become more efficient don't necessarily take that big step in terms of getting their own equipment in the first instance. We can help them on that journey. Obviously with engineering, then we're looking at E-plan first, and then service again is a common feature. We discussed it before from a cooling perspective, but obviously when you get, I guess, the bigger ticket items, then you've got to look after it when it's on site. So installations, service and maintenance, that type of thing. But I think in terms of our products, although you've got the core products to think of, that's always something that we do think of, let's say in the background, then the main products that we can offer to help customers become more efficient and assist them with their processes are those automation ones.
So if we've got a tech, a standard panel builder, for instance, and they've got no forms of any type of automation, they're on their first step to wanting to be more efficient. What would we do? What would we guide? What would be the processes? So to getting people on that initial journey of starting to look at their efficiencies and what they can do.
I think it's understanding customers' problems. Each of the machines will offer different advantages, and in terms of identifying particular benefits for each customer, it's understanding what specific problems they have. So from almost from a consultancy perspective, then we can go in, we can talk to customers, we can look at the throughput, what sort of products they use, and then potentially advise them on what sort of machines to look for, giving advice based and probably giving some more objective information such as return on investment, that sort of thing for each of the products that we do look at. But as I say, it's something where we have a whole basket or a toolbox of products, and then it's just going to be specific ones that we can help particular customers with. But I think it's again identifying those customers that have the kind of philosophy that we're looking for as well in terms of that wanting to increase their productivity. I think in the past it's been a case that possibly automation has been seen to replace roles on the shop floor.
I think that's a big point that people become scared of, don't they? That it's going to replace individuals, and that's not really the case. I
think that was probably the case maybe 5 years ago, but I think with I guess global pandemics and that type of thing have meant that there's a shortage of skilled labour at the moment. So it's not potentially now that machine is going to replace someone's job on the shop floor. It's going to replace a job that you haven't got anyone in there to fill at the moment. So it's just going to help you. Basically, it's going to help you to either maintain or probably increase your output with the same level of resource we've got now. It's going to help you to become more competitive. It's going to reduce lead time. It's going to improve quality. It's going to improve your health and safety. All those types of things. And there's not many companies that, if you to ask that question to, would like to increase your productivity. I'd hazard a guess you're not going to get no as an answer on many occasions.
And it's funny you should say that, because we did a previous interview, and in that they were saying they're with a customer, and their most valuable asset, like you say, was this dwindling basket of skilled people that they have. So having them doing sort of monotonous, very repetitive motions, drilling holes, these sorts of things, if they can get all that automated, you can actually get them to be doing what you're paying them for, and the things they've got up here, the wiring and all those more detailed things. So like you say, that seems to have changed very quickly, that it's going to replace jobs to more like, no, it complements and just improves overall efficiency and reduces grunt work, if you like.
Absolutely. I think that's something I said before. It's something that's come about post-COVID. I think a lot of people potentially taking early retirement. The demographic of the workforce is chasing, but it's changing rather. But we've got that shortage of skills, and really, if you've employed someone to wire panels, then you can use them wiring panels as opposed to cutting holes in enclosures, cutting down DIN rail and cable ducts, preparing wires, cutting wires to length and crimping. You're not you're not getting the most out of that person if that's sort of job they're doing.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think we also find as well that with panel builders, obviously not all, but there is still this attitude of this is how we've always done things, you know. There's a reluctance and people are scared to move forward with change, really. You know, so in terms of automating some of what it is that they actually do, a lot of them still shy away from it, we're finding, rather than actually embracing automation, like I said, because of reasons of what you've just said. Like I said, just because it's change, you know, what you and I had a conversation about, a lot of panel builders are actually creating control systems that make the end user's production line more automated.
Yes.
Yet the way that they manufacture themselves is still quite manual. So it amazes me, but it's nothing more than technology's moved on. New machines have become available. You know, there's new software, new services. So I suppose that's all it is. It's just people adopting those new, like I said, new technologies, new machines, that type of thing. But it's amazing, actually, once they start embracing it, very quickly they're like, oh, hang on a minute, that works really well. What else is there? Right, let's take another step. We've obviously got some customers that do that a lot. We've still got some customers that haven't yet started that journey. So you have got this massive spectrum at the minute of people where we are still on that really early adopter stage, really.
Yeah, I think we are on that early adopter stage, and there's a variety of companies that have, I guess, have benefited from buying the equipment, whether they be large, small, whether they be new startups or whether they're existing companies. And as you say, then change is something which is hard to implement, but nothing's as constant as change. So I think you've got to embrace those sort of new technologies when they come along. I think what's also important to note, though, as well, is that with the automation systems, then you can implement them as little or as far as you want to go. You can still carry out manual processes, but in a more organised fashion. You can semi-automate processes, or you can fully automate them. And again, it's about going on a journey.
I think that's a good point, actually, as well. Like I said, when you mentioned as well before about these machines and technologies don't just have to be adopted by these huge organisations. You know, they're everything from really small 1 or 2 people working in the business, which you recently had some experience with, you know, just a couple of people in an organisation, up to, you know, 30, 40, 50 people building panels. But there's something for everyone.
Absolutely.
It's not, you know...
You don't have to jump in with 2 feet, do you, and go for the whacking great top-end machine. You can get something just to complement and then build from there, can't you?
That's absolutely right. And I think that with that, then this increase in productivity, and then people automatically assume it's... And I guess at the end of the day, you could go through the process and it would all come down to, well, how much more efficient we're going to be, how much more revenue is that, what greater margin is that, etc., etc. Yeah. But how those efficiencies are delivered comes in different ways. It's whether people are going to make the process in a big factory more efficient, and again, as I said, use those people where they can benefit the business more. Or in the case of smaller businesses, it's a more efficient use of space. It's becoming more organised and having a better workflow through a shop floor that's going to deliver those efficiencies in a bit of a different way. And ultimately, it all boils down to making them more competitive.
So as part of your role then, if somebody's wanting to start that journey, you know, would you initially work with them to look at that workflow process, to start advising on some of them machines, you know, and helping them to gather the data that they need to understand actually what works and what doesn't work for them? You know, is that part of your role?
It is, yeah. And I think it's as much as a journey for the customer, it's also a journey for myself. I've only been in it a couple of months. So I have certainly one tool at my disposal at the moment, which we're looking at the milling terminal or the laser centre, in terms of looking at return on investment, if we can collect the right information in terms of what sort of enclosure being used and the number of modifications being done, etc., etc. But there are other tools available that look at other areas, component cutting, wire preparation, etc., where we can, again, rather than it just being, I've got a gut feel that this is going to work for the business, it's more objective, and you can approximate a number, you can put a number on it, and then you can start looking at return on investment and make those more important business decisions with a bit more. You can make an informed decision at the end of the day.
Yeah. I was just going to mention the return of investments. Obviously, if somebody is starting to look at the bigger ticket item machines, like the milling machines, like the laser machines, that's, you know, a big investment for somebody. So we would look at, you would look at that then with them. You would look at the return of investment for them, obviously, you know, because it's it's a substantial, you know, commitment from a customer. But so you would do that then?
We would go through that process, and we'd help them we'd support them in making that decision. And ultimately, it's not about getting a sale of a laser machine or a sale of a milling machine. It's identifying the best solution for the customer and making sure that they've got what works best for them. And maybe, it's not that type of equipment that's going to benefit them the greatest in the first instance. It's something else. But I see it very much as well as I say, this journey, this continuum that they're on. So I see that we may well look at what machines have helped in the first instance, but then also continue that process afterwards. It's not a case of we've got a sale of a Perfect MT, now we can move on to the next customer. It's continuing that relationship with the customer and helping to become even more efficient in the future as well with other equipment as well.
Yeah. And I think one of the other things I've seen with customers who are sort of ran forward with this and implemented things, it opens up their opportunities to take on more business as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've had that experience with customers.
If they're quicker, they can now fit more in the schedule, thus grow and take on or in different sectors or from the same companies or style companies and things. So that's harder, I guess, to calculate, but it gives them that extra bandwidth to sort of reach the feelers out there, doesn't it, and look out for more work and things.
I think that return on investment, that's calculated from how much time you save in those processes. Yeah. So it's something that you could very easily extrapolate from the data we're given in terms of how much more business can we do. So it's about, let's say, increasing productivity, getting more out of your existing workforce or your existing resources. I think the other thing is as well is that where you're saving that time, then potentially, if you're working on particularly low margins at the moment, then you can look to increase your more margins with that cost that you're saving and help pay for that investment. But there have also been customers who have said that they've got business now as a result of automating that they wouldn't have had in the past.
Yeah.
They have buyers coming to them saying, how can you get to that price? And it's all down to the level of automation and how much more quickly they can carry out these jobs and these projects.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really good. I say it's technology's moving on. Like I said, we've got the early adopters, but this is just going to grow and grow and grow. Like I said, more so now because we're not getting skilled workforce through, or we don't have enough skilled workforce in the first place. We know we're losing sort of electrical engineers. We're not getting them through like we used to anymore. I know apprenticeships now are being talked about again, which is great. But I know that companies are still struggling for that. So like I say, the ones that you've got that's skilled, you've got to keep hold of them. Why we're allowing them to put holes in panels and do all the manual work when we should be using them for what they're educated for.
And I guess you can't speak for them, but you would think as well, these, say, the young uns who are coming out and they're wanting to probably work for forward thinking companies where they think, well, they're going to grow with the times and it's not going to be like I can see an end in the future where this company's going to go pop because they're not moving forward with what other competitors and things are doing. And this is part and parcel of, isn't it, embracing technology and moving forward with it.
I think it very much, as with Rittal, I guess it's always nice to work with a forward-thinking, innovative company, embraces technology. As you say, I can't speak for them, but I think it would be very much almost an endorsement of the company if they were looking at this sort of technology and automation moving forward. And I think as well, we touched before on the fact that potentially you've got machines that are they're taking over roles. Arguably, though, there's an element of reskilling there as well, or even nurturing those skills in new employees, so that where in the past you might have an apprentice coming in who's drilling holes, using a jigsaw to make cutouts, fans and filters, etc. Instead, he's now learning how to program a Perforex. And he's gained those sort of skills instead, which I think in this sort of environment, potentially that's been more valuable to them as a person moving forwards as well.
So you can take them with them, can't they? To other places as well. If it pads out the CV, if you like, and gives them proper life skills, can use all the manufacturers and things. So.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think one nice thing that we've got as well is, at our services, we've got the Rittal Innovation Centre in Germany. Obviously, tell us a bit more about what we've got at our disposal. Obviously, if customers are looking to move along that journey and they're wanting to sort of see these machines, obviously that's something that we do with customers.
I think it's a really important part of the process, and as you say, we've alluded before to the sort of value of these machines, and they're pretty high value, and in much the same way as if you're investing in that sort of value of item personally, then you want to try it, you want to see it in operation before you buy it.
Don't you, ultimately?
Absolutely.
We all do, absolutely.
So we have the innovation in Germany where we can take customers and they can literally see every type of equipment we have there, from the handling equipment through the milling terminal, the laser center, copper bending, wire preparation, and that's all in conjunction with ePlan as well, so they can see how it interfaces with ePlan and how that data flow and that digitalization can also help them improve their process. And you never know that you may find when we go there that the customer thinks, I hadn't thought of that, and having seen every bit of information, they say, well, there's something else to consider as well.
Yeah.
And I think from my perspective, it's the entire package that's going to deliver these efficiencies. There are certainly some pieces of equipment that you're not going to get the whole benefits just by buying one machine. It's embracing that entire philosophy.
And it gives going there and seeing it all working in anger, if you like, and fully connected up and whatnot. Like you say, even if they're starting with just one small piece, it could give them like the next 5-year roadmap in their mind, couldn't it, where they want to be? Exactly.
From a strategic perspective, I think it's really important that they get to see every single bit of equipment that we've got there, and they can think in their minds, not just necessarily how they're going to equip themselves, but also, as you said before, what sort of markets they can potentially attack in the future with that sort of level of automation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. So I'm interested as well to see how this evolves moving forward. This is not something we've recently taken on board. This is something we've been involved in a long time. But I'm interested to see what next level of technology is going to come through with machines. I think that's, we've already seen the likes of robots wiring panels. That's still evolving, but it's really interesting to see what's next stage coming through.
Yeah, because I guess we'll develop our product portfolio based on the customer's needs, won't we, rather than where we think it's going.
Absolutely.
So like you say, we'll move and weave with a technology we might even not know exists right now, sort of thing, or a market
with things
that
like
takes
AI,
off.
who knows how that's going to shape the future of this type of machinery.
I think, we have our own ideas. I think the SBS show last year, then we had a wire terminal, which was preparing wires, but then firing them via a pneumatic system to wire stations on the stands, and also to our own wiring robot as well. But as you say, I think it's important that we develop not what we want, but what customers want. So one of the areas that we're looking at is potentially how we can make a more ergonomic loading system, for example, for our milling terminal and the laser center. And so that's something that we've recently engaged with customers we've reached out to them and asked them for their input on that, in terms of, what sort of item they're looking for, and how, and also as well, in terms of what sort of value they see for that's going to deliver for them. We've got to develop the product, but there's no point developing a product that's going to, I don't know, for the want of a better phrase, sit on the wall of the tape. It's got to be something that is at the right price point as well, and that customers are going to want to use. So I think that engagement with the customer is also important as well.
Totally, yeah, because they are literally going to get their hands on it and use it every day, hopefully, aren't they? So
hopefully so.
So if anybody's interested in looking at their whole work process, anybody's interested in any of the Rittal automation systems machinery, then just email us at unboxed@rittal.co.uk, and obviously we can put you in touch with Christian or your local area sales manager. On a more personal note, you are also involved in the Rittal Run that Karl has lovingly thrown us into.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you say involved, then I think at a time that it was launched and I was sat in a meeting and saw this email come through and thought, why has he done that? Has he not seen the profile of that course? And before I'd left the meeting, then I think you'd volunteered us both.
Correct. So, as we mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, that is Mr. Westwood, which is the other half of Mrs. Westwood. And yes, I lovingly volunteered you for this
That's how it works.
for this run. So so how's the training going?
The training's going okay. Got a decent long run under my belt at the weekend, although my knees are still feeling it. So I think I need the 7 weeks to fully prepare. But
so you've managed 10 mile so far. That's been the best one yet. My hips don't feel like they belong to me still. I feel like I'm currently borrowing somebody else's. How's your training going?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, when we went over to Germany, I got stuck into it a bit more. And
you were running massively in Germany. So we ran one evening and you were like, oh, yeah, first run in ages.
Was hurting a bit,
and then you continued to do another 10 miles over the next 2 days.
No, I did, that's right, yeah, to Rittal and back. Yeah, in Germany, is where I was doing just up and down the road.
Back to chocolate.
That was it. Well, I could smell the bakery as I went past, that was the problem, made me run a bit slower.
Yes,
but no, like you say, you just got to build it up, haven't you? And it'll be a kill. I think you've done these sorts of things before these events, and you said the adrenaline
Not with
you.
the elevation.
No, but hopefully the excitement and the noise and all the other people pull you up the hills a bit, and then the back end's quite flat. So then by then we can just.
I think it's repeated. If you can get kind of, don't know what the training plan for a half like, but I think if you can get to like 10 or 11 miles, then probably the adrenaline on the day and the people that you're running with will pull you through the last couple of miles. So
let's hope so, because it is 6 week on Sunday.
Something like that. 6 weeks this Sunday. Yeah. We're doing really well as well with the fundraising as well as we speak right now. I think we're on about £410.
Yep. So if anybody's got any
really good.
spare coins, wants to donate, please do so. We'll put the link in for Pact, which is the charity that we're running for. Again, we'll get Jack to put that up on the screen, which is really good.
So go on then.
Radio.
Have a dip. Pick one out.
I'll have a look.
Give you one of these. These are quite random. We've not seen these.
Who wants this one?
No, it's
you. Read it out.
I read
for
it
yourself.
Out. Okay.
You're the guest. That's our.
All right. So I ask you now, is it?
No, you're asking yourself.
Where do you envisage Rittal in the next decade?
Oh.
Wow. Jack, did you write these? That's a smile for everybody.
That's a question, yeah.
I mean, I'd say from my perspective, I think I'd hope to, certainly with core products, I'd hope to maintain where we are now. I think it'd be nice, it'd be good if you say, right, in the next decade, then we'll be a market leader, but we're there already. So I think if we've cemented that place, then that's great. If you look at the sort of products that I'm involved with, then I'd certainly say that we'd be hopeful of growth in that sort of area, so that we're not necessarily seen so much as the enclosure supplier, but someone who can support our customers with regards to their entire value chain, for want of a better phrase, and just have more recognition in that area as well.
I think that's one thing. Everybody, it's wrong to say everybody, but predominantly people still see us as the enclosure manufacturer, and obviously that's where the business started. Like I said, is the market leader, and that's fantastic legacy to have. But actually, we are so much more than that, and it's not till sometimes even some of our existing customers start scratching away at the surface and seeing actually what extra value we can add with all these other products and services, and like I said, the automation systems now. You'd hope that people eventually will see us as this well-rounded organisation that supplies all these solutions and helps the engineering and helps the efficiencies, that type of thing. I said we have that customer base already, but I would imagine there's a huge part of our customer base that don't see us that way.
Absolutely. And when we go on these tour bus, when it comes around the UK and stuff like that, you always get, I didn't know you did that. And then you've opened somebody's eyes, haven't you?
Absolutely. You say we've got the enclosures, and then potentially people will recognise also on the cooling side of things. Power distribution, I would say lesser so, but then with service, even less than that, and arguably the automation even less than that. But that range is continually growing, and ultimately it's how we can help customers to use our core products as well, that I hope that we'll be better known for, and almost have that kind of, for want of a better phrase, and you've probably heard it many times on this already, is trusted partner.
We have. And
but it rings true.
It's true, and I think that's one thing that is a part of Rittal that I really love working for. We all have the same values and integrity of it's what's right for the customer. We don't promote something that's not of any use to a customer for the sake of a sale. It is all about what's the right solution. Sometimes if we don't have a solution, we'll say, we don't have an offering for that, but we'll always look at we want long-standing relationships with our customers. We want them to keep coming back to us time and time again, like I said, as a trusted partner, but you can only do that by solving issues and problems that they've got.
Absolutely,
so that the next time they've got a problem, the first thing they're going to do is say, I'm going to ring Rittal because I know that they'll support me. And if they haven't got something, they'll be honest and tell me that, do you know what, that's not something we can do. So for me, that's one thing about, as a business, I think I really like about us, just the integrity and the values that we have. So
I agree.
That got a bit deep then. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much for inviting me. It's been really good.
If anybody's got any questions, they want to know more, then contact us at unboxed@rittal.co.uk. Like I say, I'll contact area sales manager. They can pick up the telephone to us.
Absolutely.
But it's been really good. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank
you
very
much.
So there we have it, Mr. Westwood. the
been
other half.
Yep.
Been and gone. That was an interesting conversation.
It was, yeah. It's pertinent, isn't it? You know, we're talking about early adopters, but at the end of the day, these early adopters are already seeing big results and from the products they're implementing. So early adopters won't be a thing for long, because other customers and things will have to take these products on.
Yeah, and I think the one thing as well that reinforces what we're doing and what we're involved in is the feedback from customers. Like you say, you touched on it with Christian, that the people that have adopted these technologies and these services, the benefits that they found are massive, and it's actually completely changed for some of them their business model.
Yeah,
they've gone down routes and avenues they never expected to, because it's opened up so many new opportunities to them.
Absolutely.
So it's a great topic, a great product set. It's just, like I said, times are changing.
Yeah,
times are changing.
It's exciting, definitely.
But no, it's been good.
It has. So hopefully you enjoyed that as much as we did, and keep your eyes peeled on socials for the next episode of Rittal Unboxed. In the meantime, if you've got any questions, you can send us a message on social media or drop us an email at unboxed@rittal.co.uk. And until next time, see you then.